I mean, it's such an experience and such a journey and such a just such a story. I like the days that emotionally hit me the worst,
Mm-hmm.
where I sit and just like, man, like why me? Like, how come it was me? And how was I able to, why not this person and that person? Is this just a dream? And so yeah, that's just where I'm at. But I mean it's finally good to actually catch up with you because I was just like I said, I threw
Oh,
it
you're
out. I said, she's too busy. Yeah, I mean, being honest with you, I still remember being like, like your little assistant.
yeah,
Going through it with Joanna and the other girl.
right. Back in APEP, back
Yeah,
there in Building B,
yeah.
2017.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like I can tell you it's 9 months and it's still a surreal feeling.
Yeah.
It's surreal,
Like,
and
what are some of the things that hit you that make it feel surreal?
the simple things, the choice of food, because I got out and like I mean, I'm not ashamed of it, but it's like something I'm trying to detract, retract is the weight gain, like almost like 40 pounds in over some months. But it's just the ability to eat what you want to eat, the amount you want to eat, when you go to eat, and so forth and all like that. The surreal feeling, Diane, is like I do this on the weekends in the morning, and I go out and I sit outside and I look up at the sky.
Yeah.
I literally, because I say to myself, that was what I didn't used to do when I was in prison, because I said all I'm gonna see is, the surroundings of it. To see those, what is called Mount Tamalpais from outside, to actually see what it is, was like, damn, like, okay, that's what it is. And me and my wife went on a hike one time, and I didn't know where the hike was taking us. It was out in
You mean
Vacaville.
when you're talking about reflecting back and looking at San Quentin?
Yeah, the Mount Tamalpais, absolutely.
Okay.
But I went on a hike in Vacaville, and you had like, if you completed the hike, you got to the peak, and at the peak was a place where you could sit down. And I forgot what it's called. I could ask her. But when I looked to my left, I was like, what the hell is that? And it was a prison, and it was Solano. And so I said to myself, because I did 10 years there, I said, wow, to see it from the other side. And that was
Yeah.
another thing to tell me, like you've made it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's one.
Oh, so beautiful. I love to hear that. And it's amazing. Like, I do that as I drive to work when I go inside San Quentin. And you look at it from the outside, it's like there is so much for me, rich life, and so many good people. Granted, there are some bad people in there too, but
Right.
when you think that the world is so massive and everybody is crammed into that one little spot, and like you said, you don't wake up in the morning and just be able to look outside, or at night be able to, right? There's so many little things that are taken away. So
And the
yeah.
things that I think that people in the world take for granted, like if they are able to drive, to get in a car and start it and go somewhere, or just to drive, the feeling of driving. Because at first I was super scared to do that, and now that I've gotten more acclimated to it, it's just like I say to myself, I used to walk the yard. I used to have to walk to get from the education to make the unlock to get to North Block. But now that I moved to Alpine, and one thing that I think that I have lost, that I would advise like other people not to, is your mojo that you had inside. So the discipline and the focus that was gained and obtained inside, make sure that it transitions to outside, because yeah, I'm still focused, but nowhere near as disciplined. I was reading books, and now
Yeah.
I barely read a book you know
Yeah.
um I still got the same structure of getting up early, and I have that, that structure within myself. But it's just that I understand how there are only 24 hours in a day now. I really know what that term means. And
Yeah.
so you have to maximize your time and be intentional with it and manage it properly.
Hmm. But wouldn't you say it's indicative of being, in this case, literally stuck in a cell? Like, Out here, there's so much going on. But one thing about you looking back on it in a positive way, you did your time to get something out of it,
Absolutely.
right? Like you used it
Ab-
to the hilt.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't even know how to follow that up. I absolutely, no, let me, I can't add to that. It wasn't always like that. So, I don't know if you know it, I did 27 years in 1 month. And the reason why I say 1 month is because I was 30 more days on top of that 27 years. And so for 13 of those years, I was running amok. And I don't know who's gonna hear this or if you know what that means, but running amok means I was doing whatever it was to get by. Some of it was for survival because I started out on a level 4 and worked my way down. But at the end of the day, when you had a life sentence back then, that's what it meant, a life sentence. So there was no hope. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. It was survival. You know,
Yeah.
I was never the predator, but I always told myself I would never be prey either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to think of it.
Hmm.
I would love to know, and I don't know what your life was like before I met you, but was there a point in your incarceration when you rehabilitated, and if so, what was it like?
Was there a point? I could pinpoint that point. As I told you, the 27 years was the totality of what I did. It was in year, let me see. So the year was 2013. So 96. So that was 14 years in. And it was when I got to the level 2, Solidat. And so at Solidat, that's when it was introduced to me about self-help programming. Outside of that, I didn't know nothing about it. So you had to sign up. So I remember like it was yesterday. So I was signing up, and a guy who didn't go to groups told me, quote, don't just sign up for everything chrono chase and sign up what applies to you. And that was like very interesting violence, and that was my life crime was centered around. So I would take anger management, criminal thinking, and so forth. And it was sitting in those circles in those process groups that you got to hear, well, not you, that I got to hear a different language. Almost, almost like I don't know if you're biblical, but how I said like, they were all speaking different languages, but they could understand the tongue. They were speaking a different language. They were speaking responsible language. They were speaking accountability. They were speaking transformation. However, at that point in time, in 2013, going in 2014, I didn't know that. But that was my pivotal turning point because at that time, I still didn't have hope. I still had a survivalist mindset, but I didn't have hope of ever seeing the other side of the wall. But my mind started to shift as I'm being fed and ingesting this new language and this way of being and seeing how these people are happy inside of a sad place. And I invested in that. And that's when the transformation started to begin.
It's interesting to hear you say that because I've never heard anybody separate the survivalist mentality with hope. Because everybody that it seems like the majority of like over 1,000 people that have written to us, they all live for hope. Hope's what gets them out. But it's interesting to think that as long as you were in, back in the 90s, not thinking you're getting out. And also a lot of people we deal with are in San Quentin, right? Like they are can typically be in a different mindset. So it's interesting to be thinking about how you're just there to survive every day. Yeah, that's interesting.
So full transparency, because I don't think that I can be indicted for crimes that were I had I had what you call a hustler's mentality. And so what I mean by that is I stayed moving. I stayed moving because I lived life from sun up to sundown. So from unlock from yard release to yard recall. And that would keep my mind moving. Um, I never became complacent. That's one thing that I never did. I always said, how can I help myself? Now, when I was in my criminality, within the first 13, 14 years, that was one thing. But then when it shifted, I said to myself, it was something that went off when I said, I would rather be remembered for who I became rather than for what I did to become.
Is
So
that
what I,
your wife? I want to meet
yeah,
her.
Hi. No,
Lord.
yeah, sorry.
Hi. Your husband's just wonderful. I met him years ago, and
Oh, get in on screen.
there you go.
I'm
He's
telling her to get in on the screen. It's like formal.
right. Your husband's just so wonderful. I remember, I don't even know if you had talked about AIDA, or maybe you did right in the beginning when we met, but he always had such a, and still does, obviously, but just such a great hope and light, and was always positive in there and helpful. So you have a great man in your hands there.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell her again, Diane. Sometimes she don't be knowing.
Take care. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting
Bye.
you. How long have you guys been together?
12. Where's the baby? I'm gonna show you the new edition. I didn't take. Oh yeah, I work fast. Hold on.
Let me see.
With your mink coat. Here she is.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Who's
Yeah,
that?
I was gonna show you at some point. So yeah, first week out, she got pregnant, and I had preeclampsia and gave birth early. So our daughter came about a month early, but she's just been picking up now.
How old is she?
She'll be 4 weeks on Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, she's so precious. What's her name?
Heaven.
Oh my god, I've never heard of that name before. That's beautiful.
Thank you, but yeah.
Look at how cute she is.
Put her back down.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, thank you for letting me share.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you have a 1-month-old.
Yeah. She came
Is
early
she
too. So she literally, I got out last week in November, found out she was pregnant the first week of December, and it's been since then. And it gives my life a whole different definition, perspective. She's great. We were able to leave with her, 4 days later. Due that she had a C-section, I've stayed back to help her while she mends. And so we're other things she can't do. I've been her little personal Uber, but also I've been, diaper duty, diaper dad, and just everything. And so it's just, yeah, it's a lot, but it's just, it's also, and I know.
What a gift, man. God had a plan for you getting out of there, didn't he?
Hey, for real. I do agree. I say, but God, and yeah. So yeah, so I told you about the 4-3-2-1. What else? And you said that you hadn't heard of that, the survival wait, no, it was the survival mindset. Oh, the hope and all that.
Yeah, I just figured most guys had it, hope, right? Like there was always
I think a lot do, but so just like there's hope, there's false hope. You can hope upon something that may not in reality ever come true. But however, if you hold on to that hope, then sky's the limit. Who am I to dare to break your dreams? For me, I'll only speak for Floyd, and hopefully this makes the cut. My hope was doused in reality, and that reality was my current reality. Where I was where I stand, was where I be, is what I do. And so I've always been a person to know to, maybe I didn't make the best move, but I always thought 2 moves ahead. And it is because I don't care what race you are. And I hope that I can give a great balance that you can change and transform yourselves if you transform your mindset and your thinking. That's the only way it's going to happen. However, the day and age today, now the climate is different. So now it's choice. You're littered with choice. You're littered with doing the right thing 5 times over the one time of doing the wrong. So you have a choice. And where I was at, where I come from, there are racial riots because this guy said something or did something disrespectful to Hispanic, or this guy's on drugs and owes somebody. So my current reality was survival. So it's like, okay, do I have to get into this? I didn't never forward think to say like I can go home one day and this racial riot, which happened, let's say in 2006, came back to haunt me in 2019 when I went to the board. So I say that I didn't live off of hope because I was hopeless. However, I survived because I had a survival mindset. I wasn't going to lay down and crawl under a rock. So I found different ways to engage myself. There was the criminal aspect from 1996 to 2013. Then there was the, hey, you know what? I'm the problem. I am the cause of someone no longer having their life. I'm responsible for that. So it wasn't what she did. It was what I was thinking that allowed me to choose to do what I did. And so then it went from being a place of denial and a place of blame to a place of accountability and accountable responsibility. So if you want to, I can talk self-help and I can talk, change and all that.
Yeah, what's interesting when you talk about hope, I automatically thought when people talked about hope, it was the hope of getting out.
I think so. So San Quentin will do that for you. It's Miss Diane. It's different today in the whole people. Okay, it's hope now because lifers are going home. That's hope right there. When I stalked through the door, they weren't. Come on, not Jerry Brown, but Gray Davis said the only way you're going home is in a pine box. So where is your hope right there when it's 1% going to the board? Where's the hope at when I get there and then I get to reception and they give me a receipt and it says in 1999, I went in 1996, but in 1999 they gave me a receipt saying 2027. Come on, man, I've never been to prison before. There was no hope.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I mean, you're gonna have. I hope that someone listening to this is inspired to say that, okay, people have done the work to get out, and here's a person that's out there speaking it to fruition for me to ingest. So I don't want to use like language that doesn't make sense. I used to always say you can learn a lot from a dummy. What not to do. Okay,
Yeah.
I was that dummy for some time. Then it shut down. If I don't say nothing else, if somebody else doesn't get nothing else, or if the editors take this out, fixed versus growth. It's about mindset.
Yeah.
Am I stuck in prison? Am I poor me? I'm in prison, but wasn't poor me that I committed this crime. How you relate to your current environment will dictate how you thrive or survive or decline in your current environment. It's about mindset.
Yeah.
Prison, aside from my life crime, which was murder, prison was the best thing that ever happened to me because it was where I became a man. It was where I developed character. It is where I learned what it is to be integral and have integrity. It was where I actually was able to define values, and it was actually where I was able to find self. But the biggest thing I got out of prison, Diane, was purpose.
Yeah. That's so what you say there has so much that we can pick apart. I think people need to hear about the fixed versus growth mindset because so many people out here don't talk about it, even though it's something we live for inside San Quentin. So I would love for you to talk about that. Compare the two.
Yeah, I love to. So I'm gonna just speak it from my lived experience because I don't have no letters behind my name, but just the LE. I like to brand that, the LE, the lived experience. So for a great amount of time, I was born in 1973, so I'll say all the way up until 2014. So from 1973 to 2014, I had a fixed mindset. And for those people who don't know what a fixed mindset is, I'll put it in its most simplest form. It's black and white. It's one way or the other. It's where I'm standing as my belief system. It's distorted, but I don't care. I'm sticking to what I know. I'm not open to challenge. I'm not open to change. I'm not open to choice. Black and white. And what I say by black and white is there's no gray area. And with that fixed mindset, I limited myself. I limited myself with my social circle. I limited myself within my own personal thinking. I limited myself in the things that I would and would not do. Now, with a fixed mindset, okay, I may want to try to go to school because I know that there can be a gain of some time off at the end. But with that fixed mindset, I'm going to give up right when the going gets tough because I don't know how to critically think and to problem solve. That's who I was in 2008 when I first started doing coastline classes, to where I would laugh that I got an incomplete or an F. transform when I'm in 2014 when I go to sign up again. Now I'm looking at how can I lay out these classes and can I set a schedule to put myself in a position to A, get tutored, B, to read the material and actually internalize it, and C, when I do come across a problem, how can I find the solution? Because for every problem, I believe now today with a growth mindset that there are 3 solutions to every problem. I just have to find one of them. And so I went from poor me and why me to a mindset of why not me? And if it's why not me, then I can walk around and there's a gray area. So I can go left or right, or you know what? I can keep going straight because there are options. And within options, there are choice. And what I learned with having a growth mindset was my mind expanded. It was no longer just, the black and white. It's either or. No, there was a variety of choice. And it was up to me. And this is what I'm saying. I don't mean to sound philosophical, but critical thinking. Once I learned what critical thinking was, and for those who don't know what critical thinking is, just think of it like this. Ask yourself why. You know what? From the simplest things. Why am I going to chow? Okay, logic will say I'm going to eat. But how about this? You might be, if you're still in your criminal mindset, you're black and white thinking, I'm going to go pick up a fix. I'm going to go get something from the chow hall. Why are you going to get something from the chow hall? Why are you going to get that? Why are you still engaging in that, what I would call today stupidity? With the growth mindset, I'm going to say, you know what? I don't need those things no more. Let me find other things to help build my coping mechanisms. One thing, Diane, that I learned, not learned how to do, but one thing that I really liked to do in prison was read. With reading, I hope somebody can pick up on this. Reading is the best way to find a mentor. Reading is a form of escape. Reading became a coping mechanism. I wasn't foreign to the dummy box, but I also ingested books. And so with the growth mindset, I am reading different titles, different genres. And I'm not reading those street novels, and I mean no disrespect to anyone. I'm not reading those books that are still glamorizing the drug trade and so forth like that. I'm reading books like Jim Collins's Good to Great. I'm reading Jim Collins's Great by Choice. I'm reading John Maxwell books on leadership. Now, I'm not trying to be perfect or make like I was just that guy, because I still did read, and I think people know about this, the 48 Laws of Power. So Robert Greene. So I had a magnitude book, and I read the Bible. I had a healthy balance, but I say this, but you said, because I'm going on a tangent, you said speak about fixed and growth mindsets. The first thing, Diane, that a person has to do is tell themselves, I'm open to change. I'm open to not being stuck in the mindset and having the belief system and the beliefs that I have, which have not allowed my mind to grow. Because Diana, I hope that you can sign off on this. The brain, no matter what age that's like a sponge. And if you start to internalize and teach it different things, it absorbs it, and so it can expand. And that's what I say what happened with me. My mind expanded. So in technical terms, it grew.
And I have a couple questions to follow up on that you led really into nicely. What made you learn how to critical think?
You said what made me critical think? It had to be the shift in how I was in the mindset. It had to be that I was saying to myself that it doesn't have to be this way. I never, Diane, challenged myself before in the past of why. So as you're helping, now I'm stirring it up in my mind. When I was in my criminality, I don't think I was thinking. I think I was just acting on impulse. When I started to ask myself why, I started to respond rather than react. So now I'm starting to think, as I said, I always thought 2 moves ahead, but now I'm putting context to those thoughts. What can happen if this happened? Now I'm starting to think like, okay, I'm adding something to it. So I think that I had to do it, Diane, in order to actually ever visualize getting out of prison, which didn't come along, and I'll say this, until about 2018. SB
And how many
264.
years were you in at that point?
Oh, wow. So 96 for 22,
Whoa. And
20.
you were in your 40s by then, right? Or 40?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Touching them, yeah. Because I'm 50 today, 24. So I was about 44. So what happened was, Diane, the laws changed. SB. So let me make sure I'm addressing this right. 2013, I started to make the shift. 2014, the shift was I'm no longer dibbling on both sides of the fence. Now, I still wasn't thinking about home or what's today is home, but I was thinking about legacy of who will I be remembered as? The guy that came in here for murder, or the guy that came through here after he changed his life and gave back to others? Because there are people that are going home because they have determined dates. Am I going to be somebody who doesn't pour into this youngster, or who doesn't pour into this guy that doesn't get it? No. I want to be that guy to say that, okay, I contributed in some capacity to someone going out there that did something better. And let me make sure I answer your question. Why? Why did I have to start thinking critically? Because I wanted more for myself.
Is there something that made you want more for yourself?
Yeah.
Was it because you were at San Quentin and you wanted to get out, or what?
Oh, no, I was before San Quentin was in Soledad. So I have this saying, and I don't know if I made it up, but I'll own it until somebody says something different. I said a person will change for two things. A person will change for someone or something. And I admit, Vanessa was that someone. She was that someone. In 14, she asked me, because I was still like in my criminality, and I'll never forget it. She says, "Who benefits from the things that you do?" And she said, "If the people that say that they care about you contribute to your criminality, do they really care about you?" So you know what, Diane? Let me stop sugarcoating it. That's when I started to think critically.
I was wondering about that because you gave me your numbers early on about how long you guys have been together. Yeah, that's nice, right? It's a connection, like what we do at Human San Quentin. We want people to connect. We need to be around people. You can't put you in a cell and lock you up and expect you on your own to rehabilitate and be better and make our community safer. So how did you meet her?
So I met her in 2013, at Solano through one of her relatives, and it was a fluke at best that man, truthfully, had an illegal cell phone, and he used it, got it back, and I needed to relay a message. And then from that point, we had just started talking because we were relaying the messages, and we became friends. And then maybe about 5 months later, she came to visit. And I'll never forget this, Diane. So yeah, why did you start thinking critically? My wife was the reason why I started thinking critically. When I found out that I was transferring from Solano, which was a level 3, to Soledad, which was a level 2, she had it lined up, and she said, "Look, keep in mind we weren't a couple." She was like, "This is what you're gonna do when you get there." And so that was, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but I mean, it's the truth. That was like a turn on to me that someone A, cared about me, and B, was so assertive within that care. But what she lined up was for me to, hey, this is what they offer. Go sign up and look for this. There was the vocation. It was like computers and this and that. So I don't think that she ever, because she has her story, but I don't think that she ever wanted less for me, whatever position in life that she would play with me.
Yeah, that's so great. And you were open to that, right? Like, thank God you thought of it as a turn on as opposed to who are you telling me what to do? And
Right.
I'm the masculine one, right? Have all that stuff play
That's
over it.
that's that growth, Diane.
Yeah, which you had. That was creeping on you early in those days. So tell us about AIDA. I remember hearing about it when you and I were together early on in your early days of thinking about it. So I want to hear about it.
Okay, so going backwards to go forward, AIDA started as a self-help, what was called in that time ILTAG, Inmate Leisure Time Activity Group, in CTF Central Soledad. That was in 2014. When we started in 2014, I didn't think much of it. Just was blessed and fortunate to have the time and the space to have these conversations. What came about for me was that a lot of men had issues with themselves, but projected onto women, and it resulted in domestic violence. As I grew, I would say the group grew, because the more I learned about myself, it was the more I was able to pour into others.
What's it stand for?
AIDA, awareness into domestic abuse.
And how, if you, I don't know how much you want to share about your previous life, but what led you into that?
Oh, well, I mean, being an abuser, being a perpetrator of domestic violence, being someone who, again, let's go backwards to the fixed mindset, that had the black or white thinking, that didn't take responsibility for my internal, I don't want to use board language, but my internal, and I don't want to use too big words, but I'll use both idiosyncrasies and character defects. So the things that I failed to recognize about myself, or that I knew but was too ashamed to say: jealous, insecure, low self-esteem, controlling. Uh, I didn't have no self-worth. A woman validated my self-worth. So that's what brought me into AIDA, when I said, again, when I stopped blaming her for having the affair with my best friend and took accountability to say, hey, people have affairs every day and they don't die behind them. My jealousy and my insecurity and my low self-worth allowed me to make that choice to say, I'm embarrassed, but really I'm hurt. And I don't know how to say that to the two of them, that you hurt me. So now I have to use violence to hurt you. So AIDA came from that, from a place of responsibility, a place of wanting others to understand and recognize their own perpetrations within those relationships. And to make a fast forward to go into all that, I wrote Amy and got transferred out of Soledad, which changed my life. AIDA was still flourishing in Soledad. I got to San Quentin, COVID hit, and that's when I started to write. So I started to write correspondence. I wrote a correspondence course and turned it into a certificate program, and it just blew up from there. I would hold AIDA events on the yard because they wouldn't give time and space because there were 100 programs.
I remember that, yeah.
And as you know, I mean, I met you through that, and I was always trying to find a way to solicit to get a sponsor and so forth. But yeah, that was the inspiration behind AIDA. Today, AIDA, I'm proud to say, serves 3 California institutions in person. Our correspondence course has cycled through all 32 California prisons, including 2 women's prisons. It has made it somehow on its own to Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Oregon, and I know it's one of them, but I can't think of the state. Now my objective and my vision is community-based, to get it out here in the community, to switch from intervention, which is what's inside the institutions, to prevention, to dealing with the youth, the juveniles. I dare to believe and to think that I can go present at someone's job to let them know the hidden aspects of psychological abuse and your verbal and emotional abuse that you're doing with your coworkers by the silent treatment, or the way you look at them, or the snide, cynical remarks that you may make that is really verbal abuse. How to look out for that and so forth, or to just present like how trauma within your own life can transition into the workplace, and you can bring that trauma from there, you can project onto others and create a toxic environment. Healthy relationships within the high schools. Teen dating violence, how if you've witnessed this at home and you've normalized it and it's become your learned behavior, how you might be doing it within your own relationship as a youngster, and the young lady who may be equating this to love.
Yeah.
I just don't got the portal. I just don't got the people to say, here, bring this guy.
Yeah.
But this one I do want to say, Diane, is that it fluctuates with alcohol and other drugs, but domestic violence and alcohol or other drugs are always 1 and 2 within recidivism. They are the highest reasoning of recidivism of somebody returning. And one thing that I would like to somehow, why not me is what I always say, but to bring to the light of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation is that it has to be mandated that people go through some type of domestic violence, some type of thing. And I'll tell you,
they need to go back into that triggering environment. I say that all the time, and they do that in the prisons that I visited in Norway. They will, I mean, they're not even long into prison, a year or 2, and they take them down to the corner and drop them off for a couple hours. And if that person messes up, it doesn't shut the whole system down. So You need to go, like, you should have been living with your wife and then maybe going back into prison at night, or right. You need to have those triggers. You need to, yeah,
No, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah. That needs to be, and you need to be in work environments out here and build your resume and all that good stuff.
No, I mean, and this is something that people, I think, take for granted and don't really even like understand. But what I wanted to say is that when because I'm still a part of that. When we don't address our issues, then our issues will have a way of turning up later on in different aspects of our life. So an event that I never healed from in the past will rear its ugly head in a future event, because I'm going to relate it to this other one, which has nothing to do with this one, but I never resolved this one. So then here I am lashing out with more rage in this one. And if I don't even know how to have an interpersonal relationship that is healthy, then how, excuse my language, the hell am I going to come out and have an intimate relationship and it be healthy?
Yeah.
I've never healed from any type of trauma, and I've never been given tools of how to interact within an intimate relationship to be healthy. That's why I think that, I mean, you said can't bash the system. I'm not gonna bash the system. I just think that people, some powers that be, know, because if everybody cleaned up their act, Diane, then it wouldn't be no need for some of these places they call prison.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's how it should be. I think I tell people, when you get arrested, it needs to be the game of life. What road are you going to take? Are you going to end up, for lack of a better word, mental institute, right? Do you need some kind of, or should it be rehab, right? Do you need domestic, right? Like, you just gotta, is it lack of education? Do you need money? What is it? Let's pick your route, not send you in that big house. So it's
Right.
amazing when I talk to people in other prisons. Has it not been for, Dennis Jefferson and Floyd Collins and some Michael Moore inside and Juan Hines that are really, and I also have to do an interview with Brian Acey. He was one of our first ones, and
Oh,
he's
stop
released.
it, man. You better stop, Diane. That's what I'm sitting here doing. I was down here on LinkedIn. He's starting to do, he's starting, well, I'm trying to make something blurry. He's starting
Yeah.
a new position. And I was just telling him I'm so
Yeah, he and I haven't hooked up. I sent him a message on LinkedIn, but he didn't respond. So I commented on something. I'm like, I will just, and it's just because of guys like you that this whole idea came to fruition, and we're actually being able to hear voices today. So I
man,
appreciate you for that.
I appreciate you. And is there anything else? I mean, that.
Let me think about that. Oh, this would be one quick thing to at least talk about. Well, not quick. So how is it you've gone through this therapy, as you call it? Maybe, whatever you've done to make yourself a better person, you dug into your brain, violence wasn't great. Here you're released, you're there with your wife, you get in a fight. There has to be that old Floyd that comes up that is like, God damn, I could just hit her right now, right? Or however, I shouldn't simplify it like that. But how is it that you're able to look at it differently, or put that fire out?
I really, really respect you for having the courage to ask that question and to put me on the spot like that. One thing that I always say is I will forever be an abuser in recovery. So what that means is there are always going to have to be checks and balances. Are we all what you saw with the beautiful baby and us coming in and her joining the frame? Absolutely not. But there's a few things that are barriers before abuse. One, I never want to do what I did before. Two, I have choice now, and I have a whole different set of coping mechanisms and so forth. This is the mother of my child. This is the woman who stood by me at my roughest time. I am not feeling what she's saying or how she's talking or how she's ignoring me, because that is the biggest one that burns me up. But I am not who I was. And so as long as I'm aware, there it is. Here's the $1 million right here. Self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and all that is, I'm using big $50 words, but self-awareness, meaning I'm in tune with what's going on with my body. what I'm thinking, and what I'm feeling. So now it's no longer going haywire, Diane. It's centered.
Mhm.
My emotional intelligence, I can understand, and I'll tell her. I don't wait now. Vanessa, that hurts that you're ignoring me. Vanessa, I'm starting to become triggered because you are talking to me with your back, so I can't see your face. And then we start to communicate. Can you find the time to come sit here so we can talk about this? And we're big about that. And we went to therapy and everything. And are we perfect? Heck no. Heck no.
Yeah.
However, we speak it through. That stuff about taking deep breaths or taking the time out and walking out the door, that fresh air that hits you really does calm you down. It really can.
Yeah.
But if I stay within what I call the madness or the buffoonery, then I start to get stirred and snap. But I told her this all the time. You never would have to worry about me putting my hands on you. At the forefront is parole. I'm not going to even play no games and say that. But also I am not him anymore. That was wrong. She has a choice to say, do, or be whatever it is she wants. That is not for me to control. So it's really, Diane, and I don't want to put this on thick, but it's really about doing the work. And I call it me search. And that is something that I made up. Me search. And it is doing the work of self. What makes me tick? All right. If that makes me tick, then I got to tell her, this is another thing I do, Diane. I'll stop from here. But I always tell her,
Oh, I love all this. In case you can't tell, I'm taking notes. I love that.
but Diane, hey, when I can't use my words, I tell her this. I say, you know the lighter?
Yeah.
You're lighting the wick. Please stop. I think so. For me, being spoken to in a condescending fashion is hurtful and triggering. And for me, so being seen, being heard, and being loved is big, like the unmet needs. And so instead of going in circles, the biggest thing that I'm able to do now today, Diane, is to convey those words in full sentences, to say, like, what you just did hurt me. Can you come speak to me? Or I am in need of attention right now. Or I am feeling like I'm being neglected, or I'm not being seen.
Yeah.
I do it. So I talk it out. I may give her everything that she wants, but in my mind, I don't know how to give her what she needs. If I'm providing with all the wants, I think that I'm touching on the needs. So within the toxic masculine mindset, I am king, you are queen. I provide, we survive. Material meets the needs in my mind. How could she want more or need if I provide?
Or I'm not enough.
So there's a concept that I learned, and it's called the 6 and the 9. So if where is it at? Shit, I can do it right now. So if right now you see it as, where is it at? It's a what?
Yeah, 6.
So, but if I'm saying it from this way, it's a, where is that? It's a what?
Can't see it, but it's probably a 9.
Right. So it's perception and reality. How am I seeing it? How are you seeing it? Are you seeing a 6 and he's seeing a 9 and whatever else? And then at the same time, I think that that's the societal norm. The happy home with the white picket fence. You know, I come home, I put food on the table, this that. What more can you want?
Yeah.
I mean, so when that's being thrown out there, then the critical question has to become, what do I want? Am I happy? And if I am happy, how am I happy? Why am I happy? What makes me happy? Am I actually happy? And I ain't here to judge, but I mean, I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanna share? It sounds like your transition's been going great. Oh, I want to know what you're doing every day for work.
Oh, the executive director of AIDA.
There we go. I wanted to hear that. How exciting.
I mean, that's on my profile. So
Yeah.
I'm steady trying to network, steady trying to learn. That's something I do need, but everybody wants to charge me for it. I'm trying to learn better personal development, soft skills, with the computer. I don't even know how to share a screen on Zoom yet, you know, and just all those things that the small tangible things that people utilize and take for granted every day, I want to learn and master so that I can become better. But it's also about applying myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean,
That's
if
great.
you're up in the Sacramento area, or you know, I don't want to be used or misused, but to speak or to anything like that, that's something that I definitely want to like to get into, is the public speaking realm, and just to speak on the overcoming toxic masculinity, that mindset, that abusive mindset, um, introducing women into different ways of thinking and of interpreting abusive relationships. Like, you know, somebody might say, "Oh, he's a hater." No, I'm looking to make this world that I am a part of a better place.
Yeah, how exciting. Thank you for sitting down with me today. I'm so excited to hear about
Absolutely.
all your success post-release.
All right. And let me know
So,
how it turns out, and let me know when the final cut is and where I can find it.
yeah, I'll put it
And
on everywhere. You might have to bug me. I call it the squeaky wheel.
I
So,
don't tell I'm coming right now. All
yeah.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
go
So
to
then,
it.
all right, and then I'll send you some pictures too.
I would love that. Stills would
All
be
right.
great.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you,
take care.
Diane. All right.
All
You
right.
too. All right.
See
Bye-bye.
ya.
All
All right.
right.